Hello everybody, my name is Zero. Thank you so much for joining me for another commentary video. This time I will be answering questions that were asked on my Discord channel. So let's get started. Elu ZN asks, how was Art Center and what was it like for you? It was a very memorable experience. I did not finish the school, but I will go into that later. Prior to discovering Art Center, I was definitely lost, and I didn't know what I was gonna do with my life because I've already went to university prior to that for like 4 years because I switched majors a couple of times. First time I did computer science engineering because I honestly wanted to kind of follow my dad's footsteps. He's a programmer, but it just did not work out for me. I wasn't like smart enough. I don't think. Like I was more of an artist in my heart. I was also, part of me was I was under the impression that artists couldn't really make a good living just doing art and what they love. So because of that, I was reluctant to just take art classes or art majors. Something that was closest to being, something that could work out was a product major, product design. And that's what I did for like 2 to 3 years. Until I had to move up to the upper division, but I was not accepted because my portfolio wasn't good enough. So I took a year-long break because in order to retry to go to upper division, I had to resubmit the portfolio in the following year. And that's a pretty long break, and I was pretty much devastated. I didn't know. I felt even more lost. I didn't know exactly what I was gonna do with my life. I still did like a lot of drawings on the side, like for fun. But I did discover Art Center because a lot of my classmates in the product major would only talk about Art Center, how great it is, because of like a bunch of best of the best designers came from there, car designers, product designers, and especially like concept artists like Sid Mead, Ryan Church, like I think Doug Chang went there too. There's so many of them, like Craig Mullins. He's really super well known. And one individual in particular, Scott Robertson, I remember my classmates printing out his like car drawings, like perfectly drawn in perspective, to classes, and they would just geek out about it. And that's how I pretty much discovered what Art Center was. And during the 1 year break of trying to resubmit or trying to fix my portfolio, I pretty much decided to dump that portfolio and said, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna try to go for this Art Center school. I'm gonna take a leap and do something a little bit risky and different. And that definitely paid off because the submission deadline was like coming up within 3 months of me making up my mind. That's I put the portfolio together very fast. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was self-taught, and I looked up some of the concept art books published by Scott Robertson's Design Studio Press, and sort of followed those that kind of layouts, and created like, I didn't even know what the thumbnails were back in the day until I read that book, those books. So fortunately, I did get into Art Center, and that was like one of the happiest achievements of my life. And this actually answers the next question. Sylvanas asks, what would you say is your favorite or most memorable achievement? So I will answer these two questions together. When I got into Art Center, I got to meet Scott Robertson, who was like hero to my previous universities, like classmates, and hero of mine at the time as well. So it was pretty unreal seeing him, and I was able to get some like pretty decent scholarship because the tuition at Art Center is pretty expensive. Nowadays I heard it's maybe even tripled. So, but yeah, being there, it's a beautiful school, has a lot of history to it. And I was surrounded by really talented kids, talented students. And it was a little bit intimidating, definitely intimidating actually, but that's how I kind of pushed myself. The classes and the teachers were even more intimidating. They put you through a lot of hell, projects like with impossible deadlines. That's why I think Art Center is very, I guess, infamous for students pulling a lot of all-nighters. Yeah, which was definitely true because I did lose a lot of sleep, and I think that was pretty much like, now thinking back about it, it was a fun experience. I can go into it more in detail later on, but I'm gonna move on to next question. So Highland asks, what's the best way to improve in your opinion, apart from practice? Yeah, it's definitely practice. I think the mileage is definitely the key. As cliche as it sounds, anything you want to be better at, practice, for sure. Like that's gonna help you eventually get to where you want to be. But also, you do want to be smart about it and be very efficient. So if I were to tell myself to go back to when I got admitted to Art Center, I would give myself an advice. So the advice I would give myself to improve in the best way is, ask for feedback, be vulnerable. Yes, you're gonna show your weak side and what you're bad at, and you might feel ashamed of showing that, but that's not the important part. Like, it's not your ego that's important. I would have asked for, hey, what do you think? How would you improve certain things? Like, how would you improve what you're seeing in my art? And like, whatever feedback that they give you, it'll be super valuable. And that's where being like open-minded comes in, is when you hear the feedback, try it out, even if you know, if you say it's not gonna work, then you're not listening. Open yourself up, have that willingness to try it out. I think that's very, very important. That's where the humbleness comes in, and dropping that ego armor. Of course, you want to practice as much as possible and in the very most efficient way as you can. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Tony Ascend asks, what's the best path to career in concept art? Best path to career, I think what you mean by that is what are the best types of career in concept art? So right from top of my head, just working at Riot Games, I would say there are like two types of paths for a concept art career. One is like a manager, and the other one is more of like a craft focused role. So like principal artists, right? They're the best at it. They're the best at they exemplify what the concept art should look like for that company and that project. So when you start out in the concept art, like when you start out in a company, you're kind of a rookie, you're fresh out of school, you're very passionate, you're excited to get into it, you're kind of the horsepower of the company, doing a lot of the hands-on work, making mistakes, and hopefully you learn from the mistakes, and that's very important if you want to grow and get to the point where you have to choose one of the two paths. If you choose the manager path, you're probably most likely like a little bit tired of just doing like so much grunt work of doing art. The manager, what they do is they are responsible for other artists' like career paths, and some managers are responsible for managing like outsourcers, like artists outside of the company. There are vendors, like small companies, that are also being the horsepower of the project. So there's different kind of managers. Overall, what they do is they're responsible for like keeping the projects moving with the producers, being in meetings, and not having much time to do art themselves. On the other hand, principal artists who are like craft focused path, they're more in charge of setting like the quality bar and making sure the quality of every artist is getting there, and helping them improve, and through mentoring, also setting like a direction of like an artistic direction of the project. Art director, they're a little less hands-on, but they have that knowledge, that craft level knowledge to make artistic decisions that will make the project very successful. So hopefully that answers your question, Tony Ascend. I wonder what path you would choose. Alright, next question. Lucane24 asks, what was your big break in drawing? Is this still a hobby to you? I wonder what you mean by big break. I think you're maybe if I took a long break or not. It's a good question, because I don't think I've taken the longest break I've taken is probably like a couple of days, because I'm constantly drawing every single day. It's kind of I'm for the lack of a better word, I'm addicted to drawing, and I don't think there was any time when I was like, I need to just not draw for like a couple of weeks. I think I would go insane if I wasn't able to draw for a couple of weeks. I do get tired and get burnt out for sure. When I do that, I just take a break for a couple of hours or up to a few days and do something that I don't normally do, like go shoot some bow and arrows in the archery range. Or I recently started doing like boxing, and also doing like K-pop dancing. And to answer your second question, is this still a hobby to you? That's a good one. I wonder about that myself. I think it is still a hobby to me. I feel very lucky. I take it for granted, every now and then, but being able to do character design for a living and get paid to do it, And especially when I get to design characters that I really enjoy, I think that's a blessing. And I need to really appreciate that more. And the nature of working on a mobile game, I get the opportunities very often to be able to draw characters. That's all I do. I don't do environments at all. Like, that's been like the perception on the video games, like working on video game companies. It's mostly like it's mostly you have to do environments more than designing characters. So Hammy asks, at what point did you feel like this was the beginning, if that makes sense? I would say I'm gonna go back to the art center. Like when I started at art center, that's when I felt like that was the beginning of my career. That's when I woke up and realized, being an artist is possible, and that is a real career that I could pursue. So yeah, that's where the beginning of our career happened. The next question, Simplicity asks, what is your favorite piece or pieces of work so far? Very tricky. I hope I give a very good answer, so I don't regret it, but I guess some of the personal pieces that I'm really proud of working on is my D&D characters. Two of my D&D characters, I recently got really into D&D thanks to Critical Role. It's an amazing show that I've spent like 800 hours just watching them play. It's pretty ridiculous. I know them very well, but they don't know me at all. So I would check out Critical Role. That's how I got introduced to D&D, and I absolutely love it. And that kind of changed the way I design characters. So the two characters I designed are Asher and Blair. Asher, from my first campaign, he's a witch hunter. He has he uses a bow and arrow, and he just looks like a very edgy character, like visually. But a lot of those visual design decisions were made based on the background story that I came up with, and it took me a while, but I became very happy with it. And usually I would just prioritize like the aesthetics and how good he or she looks. Like, that's all I would care about. But this time, like, a lot of the fashion decisions, the shape language, and even to like the tattoo, the shape of the tattoo, why he has it around his neck, that's based on his background story. Similar with Blair, right? Like, without going too much into details, why? It felt very personal. And yeah, I just felt very immersed into these characters, and that made it really fun to work on these character designs. Some of the fan arts that I really enjoyed working on were, I think, Samus Aran. It's an old piece. It's the portrait one. She's in the armor. It's pretty simple. It's fully painted. It's not incredibly detailed or refined and polished. It was more like organically created. But yeah, it was really fun. And some of the right pieces that are absolutely my favorite are like Ari. Obviously, like she meant a lot to me working on her. Nine-tailed fox, right? She was deeply rooted to my culture, the Korean culture, and it was really fun, and it meant a lot that Korea received her super well, and even globally, right? And especially when League of Legends did launched with huge success, being number 3 at the time in Korea, and I think it's still number 1 or 2 in Korea nowadays, like after all those years. Also Vi, who was the last character I got to design, she was different because unlike other female champs that I designed, she was, her clothing is pretty, like more on the tough side. Like she was depicted as a tough girl who's absolutely awesome with pink hair. That's the ingredient I had to use. And the team was absolutely, yeah, let's do it. Pink hair, give her pink hair, and the iconic tattoo on her face. Yeah, and who doesn't like girls that with giant robotic fists that punch people, right? That's super badass. Some of the skins that I'm really fond of are like Star Guardian, the first patch, like 5 characters in that skin line. Working on all that was really, really difficult because I was working on Elementalist Lux at the same time, the ultimate skin, with 10 different skin, 10 different forms, elemental forms. So essentially I was working on like 15 different skins, like 15 skins at the same time with like promo stuff, like anime opening. Oh man, but those are really good memories. I learned a lot, and I'm so happy that everybody, received those really well. Yeah, thank you so much for asking that. Alright. Vivid Trom asks, what is your ultimate goal and game? I don't really have an... Hopefully I'm still doing art, and nothing is preventing me from not doing art. And I guess my end game, I'm gonna do art until I can't anymore. I think that's pretty much my goal. I guess like along the way there's some milestones that I want to hit. I do want my Patreon to just keep going as is, because it's been such an awesome experience so far, being able to create any content I want and draw anything I want, and not be able to, not think too much about financial challenges, because without Patreon I would still try to do my personal work, but I would be hindered by like freelance stuff that I had to do. Like I would spend most of my time doing freelance stuff, or be exhausted from doing, coming back from work. So yeah, Patreon, I would love that to keep going somehow, and I can't thank you guys enough for that, because without your help and your support, it wouldn't be where it is right now, and I wouldn't been able to create all these artworks. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very deep question. Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Vivid. So let's move on to the next question. Ilu Zian asks, what was your transition from amateur to pro like? Would you mind sharing your experience from when you left college to landing a job at Rito? That's a good question. Yeah, I actually did not finish college. I didn't finish my degree at Art Center because degrees don't matter for artists. Like, it's all about portfolio. Why I left college? Because I guess part of me wanted to start to experience, and I already had a pretty strong relationship with Riot from doing contract work with them. And at the time when I made that decision, I did not know Riot was gonna be a big company. They were about like 400 people. Now it's like a couple of thousands. It's a pretty big studio. Yeah, I made that big leap. I made up my mind. I said, I'm gonna take a leave of absence from Art Center, and I'm gonna experience what it's like to work in a company, in a game company. And transition from amateur to pro, I still consider myself like, I guess, an amateur because I have a lot to learn. I did definitely make some mistakes and learn from that. And yeah, I guess in some ways I learned to become a professional. Like, it's all about like how you interact and work with people. That's the most challenging aspect of working in a studio, is how to collaborate as efficiently as possible and in a professional level. So yeah, that transition happens over time. It doesn't happen like right away. Some people, especially if you're really new and you're fresh out of college, that's kind of the phase you go through. Is you're super excited, you're eager to make something and have some kind of mark on the project. Over time, you make mistakes, you learn from it, and gradually that transition happens over time. Thanks for asking that question. Next question from Boosted Dolphin. That's an epic name. For those who can't afford going to art school, what are some resources that you know of that can help someone improve their art? That's a very, very good question. And that's part of the reason, I think that's why I left Art Center, because of how expensive it was. I was getting a decent amount of tuition. Not tuition, scholarship and grant. But the tuition was too expensive. It was like $16,000 per term, and there were 3 terms per year. And I think I owed about like, not too bad, but like $25K for the whole education, or before I left school. That's how much I owed. And like part of going to Riot and leaving Art Center to go to Riot was financial reasons. I wanted to make money. I didn't want to owe too much money to school, and I knew about degree really didn't feel like important for artists. But to answer the question, there are very good like alternatives out there. If you're local in LA, in California, you might want to consider going to like these like CDA, Concept Design Academy in Pasadena, or like Brainstorm. That's another good alternative. And it's important. I think it's better than taking online courses, because when you go there in person and you're physically there, you have the ability to interact with students and the fellow students, your classmates, and apply the advice that I would have given myself when I went to Art Center first time, which is like, be humble, be open-minded, like have confidence, and be vulnerable and help each other out. Like you'll definitely be able to do that when you're physically there. So try that out. Okay, next question is asked by Seo-yan. Do you have any plan about future? What about mentorship, editorial stuff, or workshop? And any tip for polishing art? Alright, I'll answer these one by one as best as I can. Do I have any plan about future? I do, hopefully. I do have some ambition or some stuff that I want to try out with what I have, like Discord. I want to try to make it a place where it's really fun, like for people to interact, and hopefully I can interact with them on more of a personal level. I'm also thinking about doing like a Twitch stream or having YouTube channel and just uploading more like edited videos up there with voice commentary. That way I can let people know what I'm like, how, you know, like on a personal level, they will get to know who I am. I think that's very important. And hopefully I can share my experience and my struggles, and which might hopefully inspire the listeners and the followers to have confidence and be like, hey, I'm not, you know, like that's not too bad. I can be better than that. Like, hopefully that's the message I can give to the followers. What about mentorship? That's definitely coming. Like I've been putting a lot of thoughts into it. Discord is the main reason why I'm trying that platform out, because I think that would be really good for mentorship. There are things I'm still trying to figure out, like a Hangout call, Google Hangout call. It's I tried it out, but it's really it's kind of janky. Like I haven't been able to make the frame rate really smooth. That's super important, right? You don't want to see like pretty kind of laggy frame rate and just watch how I draw or how I do paint overs. That'll be really frustrating. So I haven't been able to find a solution to that yet. And I need to figure out how I'm going to, and I want to make it like really good, like as flawless as possible, to give the best experience to the people that are going to be paying extra for that mentorship. Editorial stuff, I think what you mean is less of like journalism, but more of like editing, like paintings, like paint overs. Yeah, that I definitely want to do that, because the best feedback you can give to fellow artists is paint overs. So yeah, paint overs. Okay, and workshop. You asked for about workshop. That's something I am trying it out pretty soon in December 1st, 2018. Like John Park has asked me to be in their brainstorm workshop. I'm guessing I've accepted already, and I'm kind of like in back of my head I'm regretting it, because I have stage fright. I freeze up and I cannot talk like really well in front of a lot of people. I'm guessing there's gonna be tons of people if they know about the workshop. I'm not saying I'm popular or anything, but I think because the workshop is pretty like low cost, they're going for more quantity to make that business work. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but also looking forward to it, because I think when I'm uncomfortable, I'll be learning a lot. But if I like it, I'm gonna do more workshops in the future. And any tip for polishing art? Any tip for that? I think patience is the best tip to give for polishing art. It's also you have to be able to clean things up and to organize your thoughts as you're doing it, listening to music really helps, because cleaning things up gets very redundant and you get bored very easily. And if you don't want to be bored, just have like some kind of background sound going, like watch Netflix. And for me, listening to music really loudly helps. All right, thank you, Seoyeon, for asking that question. Okay, Late Night Loneliness asks, can't think of anything serious, so what music do you listen to? That's a nice question. Thank you for asking that, because I was just about to talk about how important music is. All right, so I'm gonna cover that right now. Recently, I started to listen to music while I draw, and I made that kind of a mandatory, because for me, I get a little bit insecure. I have some insecurity and confidence issues, because every time I try to draw, I'm thinking about what other people are thinking of my work as I'm drawing. Like when I'm drawing certain things, like especially like the portraits and the face, when I'm struggling, in the back of my head, I'm hearing, oh, what would this artist think of my work? This looks terrible. Oh my god, I cannot show like this. I can't, I suck. It's a terrible and discouraging thoughts that goes on all the time. It's very noisy in the head. So I discovered that listening to really, catchy tunes and listening to it loudly really helps, like drown it out, and that really increased like my happiness and quality of the artworks. And it also lets me take more risks and not think about what others might think of it. So to answer your actual question, what music do I listen to? As you have seen, KDA just came out, which is like a K-pop like skin for League of Legends, and I've been working on that for over a year. And since I started working on that skin a year ago, I discovered like that I really like K-pop. Like it's very catchy, and I started to make a long playlist of it. And ever since, I've been just listening to that, tweaking. So yeah, that's what I've been listening to. Other times, I listen to a lot of like soundtracks, because during D&D game sessions, that's what I would like use. I would create vast like a lot of like different types of soundtracks together to play during certain moods of the game. So yeah, I have a YouTube playlist of like those D&D soundtracks, like epic soundtracks and K-pop soundtracks. Maybe I will share that on my Discord channel. Thank you for asking that question. Alright, Railgun has a long question. Is there a sequence of skill progression that artists typically go through to get to a point where they can be considered to be approaching pro? If so, what are the big steps? What are the big steps? Generalized topics like perspective, color theory, value, shape, anatomy, etc. I'm unsure if these should be practiced in order or just all simultaneously, or is it case by case? I would say latter. Like it is. I think once you get all the craft and fundamentals down, like basic fundamentals down, it becomes a case by case. Because I don't like where they can be considered to be approaching pro, like professional. So yeah, like once you have like craft and like basic craft and fundamentals down, and you're really strong at it, yeah, I think you're considered professional. And the way you can gauge that is because I've done a lot of portfolio reviews for for Riot Games, and how I evaluate if this artist is good enough and is professional for the job. If I look at the work and it feels like it can belong in our game, then yeah, this guy is qualified. If I don't have to teach him much, like I don't have to mentor him in the craft, like fundamental stuff, like what you say, perspective, color theory, value, shape, anatomy, like design principles, and then specific like shape language and design language that we use. If this artist through portfolio review shows that he fits like a plug and play, then yeah, that's a good professional. I'm not disregarding artists that don't fit and the style and as not being the professional. I'm not saying that. Like there are plenty of like professional that fits into other games, but that's how I like evaluate if they're qualified or not. What are the big steps? I'm not too sure what you mean. But yeah, case by case for sure. Like these shouldn't be I don't think they're mastered in an order. They're in a specific order. And these like fundamentals, they take forever to master. I think there's no like, it's kind of subjective if you were to say, hey, this guy has mastered everything perfectly, and because there's so many different kinds of art, and you can twist and turn and change the style of these anatomy, like shapes and perspective, like colors, like color language. You can change it all you want and take a different direction with it. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Hopefully it didn't confuse you even more. Thanks for asking that. Z Majestic asks, what is one thing you wish you knew sooner about doing concept art, and would you recommend to aspiring concept artists? I mean, I've kind of answered that already when I said if I were to go back to when I got admitted to Art Center, what I would tell myself. Yeah, like, be vulnerable again, open yourself up, be confident, and don't be afraid to take a lot of feedbacks. Like, that's basically it. Get exposed to a lot of new things, I would say. Try out new things. And oh yeah, the music. Like, listen to music more as you're working on art. Like, blast the music in your head, like in your headphones. Don't blow out your eardrums. That's important. But yeah, music, drown out any insecurities like that you have, and any fears you have, like drown it out with like really awesome tunes. And yeah, maybe you guys should like share each other's music. Like, that could be a good thing. Music playlists. All right, next question. SGU asks, why do you think 2B's butt is so awesome? That's kind of that's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, it's just really well like sculpted, I guess. Her model, that's why it's awesome. Or here, I think more tactical way to answer that is like her character design is very, very unique. It's kind of a niche in a way. It kind of breaks the rhythm of all these like modern like Japanese developer made characters, it kind of breaks that rhythm. Like it that's why it sticks out. Like she's so unique. Like other characters are very colorful and wears kind of a skimpy like outfit, but 2B, she's very mysterious. She's more covered up, but her silhouette and shape is pretty strong. Like her skirt is kind of bell shaped out. Her focal point is her head. Her white hair is the focal point. Her character itself and the clothing itself is pretty, simple. It's not very sophisticated. It's pretty modern. It's a dress with, I think the contrast is where it gets very interesting. The familiar outfit and the character visual look versus the more fantasized, like incredibly fantasized and more sophisticated weapons. I think the fact that she can wield that and do crazy kind of animations and epic movesets, I think that's what makes her really like stand out from other characters in like all kinds of games. But to answer your question, why is her butt so awesome? The ability to like blow her skirt off, I think that became kind of a meme, and that's where a lot of people got obsessed with that. And yeah, I'm definitely not saying it's not awesome. And below that question, ZN actually posted some facts about why her butt is awesome, because like she has like tons and tons of polygons on that area compared to like other areas. Like there's if you look at I'm looking at the photo, like a screenshot of the poly mesh. It's really dense. Like the developers weren't kidding with how good they wanted to make her bum, I guess. So yeah, that's very interesting. As a developer, it makes absolutely no sense why it should be so dense, that the area. But at the same time, I kind of respect that kind of like risky decision, like unusual decision. Like that would never happen in other companies, especially Western companies. So yeah, thank you for asking that. Yeah, interesting question. Alright, next one. Han-yeon asks, I'd like to know, how do you describe yourself when it comes to art stuff? How do I describe myself when it comes to art stuff? I would like to say like I love like art because I think I'm obsessed with art, in particular like drawing female portraits, like as beautiful as possible. I think that's where my obsession is, where I get the drive to do it. And that's why I just draw, like do paintings of female faces, and perhaps that's, you see like a lot of like very similar looking female faces because of that kind of obsession. That feeds into why type of characters that I design for League also, and that's a mentality I also adopt when I'm designing those characters. I'm always thinking about, how do I make this character as appealing as possible? And how will players really like it? Like will the players receive and resonate really well with these characters I design? That's always been my priority. And yeah, like aesthetically pleasing is like very important to me. As also like when I'm when I'm creating characters in like MMORPG or open world games, that's really important to me. I spend like several hours, maybe, like even reloading the games. If the character end up not looking great within the in-game like cinematics. Yeah. Sorry, I say too much. I'll try not to say that. Lou asks, when did you decide to start pursuing making art as a career? That I've already kind of answered the question when I said Art Center is the point when it got real, everything became real deal. That's when I committed everything, like invested. I decided to move to California from Arizona. My family came along with me, my younger sister as well. So it was not just my big pursue, but my family as well. Next question is Exelion. How important are basic guidelines? Do they hold you back at some point? Do you still use them? Basic guidelines, do you mean by like clean line art? I'll just assume that you're talking about that, because line art, that's something I've just started to do, actually. Not just started to do, I've been doing it for a couple of years now, but when I first did art, I didn't really rely on an art like clean line art. It was more of like doing like block and paintings, black and white first, then adding color on top of it, trying to make the colors look rich and look good. And eventually I did like more of a photo blending technique for like concept art, like movie style, like designing characters for cinematics and film industry. And I did, like my style looked really realistic at the time, but until like a couple of years ago, that's when I became more patient, like learned to be patient with like drawing, doing really clean line art, really polished line art on top of the rough sketch. Hopefully that answers it. Do they hold you back at some point? I guess the disadvantage of just doing doing rough sketch and doing like clean line art on top of that is you have to commit to that pose and that composition, and it's kind of like it's hard to make tweaks along the way, versus if you were doing like a block and painting like more organic way, you can kind of change it as much as you want. But when you do like clean line art, you're kind of going through that like specific process, the rough drawing, clean line art on top, masking different parts of the body and painting, and like merging them all together at some point, then doing some paintings on top of it. Do I still use them? Yes, I still rely on that. That's been my main process now, and it's been a very comfortable process. But from time to time, I'm trying like R&Ding, like other types of process. Like I sometimes go back to like doing just block and painting, not doing any sketches and line art, just go straight to painting and blocking in, and that's sometimes it's very refreshing. refreshing, and it allows me to discover something new. So next question comes from the moderator of my Discord. Mini Heels asks, so are there any characters that are already made related by blood or anything similar? Because I still have a personal hunch that Pris, Valora, and Prim are related. Yes, I think it's safe to say they are related, maybe not by blood, but I mean, I haven't really decided like for sure. I don't have like all the character stories like figured out yet. I realized that working on like Deathverse or Mechanizer, my personal IPs, creating a story, like the world building is incredibly tough. It hurts my brain. Like it's like you have to figure out the rules of the world, what kind of world it is first of all, and what the culture is, what's the society like factions, all kinds of stuff before plugging in characters. So I'm not at the point where I'm like plugging in the characters yet and how they relate to each other. Working on those two characters, Pris and Prim, yeah, I definitely had that in mind. So yeah, they are related for sure. How they're related, blood or not, not too sure yet. If you think they should be blood related, I'm really down. I'm down that they are. I know their faction is currently I'm naming it Firen, yeah, I guess that's the name of their faction. They're kind of like the devil, like pink-haired devil with like obsidian glass horns, like flat, sharp glass horns, just levitating or floating on their head like crowns. I don't exactly know, like that's kind of the visual, iconic visual look that I'm going for this faction called Firen. So yeah, I'm gonna be working on that more and expanding that universe more. I'm glad that you asked, because it's so awesome, and I get really excited that other people are interested in this universe. I can't wait to share more of it. Okay, what else? I'm gonna go through this more. Sorry if it's not super organized. There might not be any more questions left to do. Alright, I don't think I see any more questions below that on my Discord channel. I think that's pretty much it. But before I close this out, I want to say how I want to show my appreciation for the Patreon, and 3 years of doing that has been such an awesome experience. And again, it helped me create that platform and the community that's willing to spend their the hard-earned money and donate that to me in order for me to draw whatever I want, the fan art and personal IP, and being able to share that with everybody that's donating and helping out has been really, really awesome. And if I didn't have that kind of backing and that kind of support, I think I would still be trying to do personal art, but I think I would be distracted by the thought of like how do I be financially stable doing freelance work and full-time job at the same time. It would be a little bit more challenging and different for sure, but yeah, I feel super lucky to be able to do it, and I can't wait to show you guys what else is coming up. And I also hope to expand the YouTube channel more and be connected with you guys on a more personal level. Also, Discord channel, hopefully that gets like it even becomes more like a fun place to hang out and just talk about art and other geeky stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna close this out. You guys can hang out and watch how this video, this part of the process ends. Thank you so much for watching, and feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel for any upcoming YouTube videos and commentaries. I might do some like cool time-lapse videos that are like 2 to 5 minutes long, or even slightly longer than that. And hopefully that's helpful for you guys and entertaining. But other than that, yeah, thank you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
I'm here in the middle of nowhere. There is no there, it is cold there, but I am safe and I am warm. Although it's hard, I know I gotta keep up. No time to late, to drift away. I fill my space, I spend my time down the rabbit hole again. And as I fall, I can feel the pain. You can't tell me where to go, so I don't know, I just go with the flow. I go with the flow. I'm falling up, I'm falling down, from the sky and from the ground. Up above just like below, and I don't know where I should go. 'Cause I'm stuck in limbo. I'm out of love, but I guess I deserved it. Trying to hide, to pass you by. I'm getting down, I'm feeling fine. I'm light as air, no one can reach me. Lost in a dream, lost in between. Let's keep on flying, let's keep on breathing. I'm falling up, I'm falling down, from the sky and from the ground. Up above just like below, and I don't know where I should go. 'Cause I'm stuck in limbo. Cause I'm stuck in limbo. Cause I'm stuck in limbo.
Never reminded, never taking whatever you told me. I know what I could be. Making emotion paintable and so tell me, is this what you made me? a ghost